We've now completed row 1 and row 2. We'll take row 1 and turn it down onto row 2. As we start to sew from the beginning, we will begin here and we will make these two seams lock together right here and finger press them so that you will sew to here, stop, jump down here, make these two seams lock together, finger press them together, finger pinch them together, put a little tension, then you will go to this point. You'll stop there and you keep doing that all along the way. So you're only working with this much at a time and it will come out even on this end over here. The center of our quilt has been completed now. We have all of our blocks connected together. So now it's time for our first border. According to our pattern, the first border is a narrow dark border, 1 inch finished width wide. So we need to cut 1.5 inch strips. We need to know how long these strips need to be. So to find out the length of the strips for the top and the bottom, we're going to measure from one side to the other one. That's 46 inches. I'm going to write it down. I'm going to measure it again to make sure. 46 inches. I'm going to cut 6 strips. It will take 6 strips for this quilt. 1.5 inches wide of this green color to go around it. So I will do that now. I'm going to cut them and I'm going to cut off the selvages at the end and connect them into one long, slender piece of material, and we'll cut what we need for the borders. To do that, we're going to take the green material we had before. We're going to get it with the selvages together just as we did before. Make sure it hangs straight. When you get it to where it hangs straight, and some people don't know what I mean by this. If you put your selvages together and your material has a blousy puckered appearance, just like this, it's not right. You slide the selvages left or right until you get it to the point that they hang straight. Then we know that we're going to get some good cuts. We won't have a zigzag cut. When it's hanging straight, and you may have to work at this on some materials. The grain, when they're printing these materials, can cause problems. Okay, this is hanging straight. I like this. I'm going to put it down on my cutting mat, hand press it, then bring the bottom up to where it's the same difference of width from the top all the way across. We want it the same distance from the top all the way across. Now, when we do that, we want to hand press it again and get all of the wrinkles out. Take our square, take any line on the square and run it along the bottom of the fabric. We want to cut off enough to get all of the ends here. Make sure we cut all these ends off. Now we have a squared edge. I'm going to take the extra material and put it on the cutting mat and turn the mat around. I need 6 1.5 inch strips. So I'm going to start at the left, line up my 1.5, 1, 2, and I will continue this until I have all 6 strips done, and then I'll show you how to cut the selvages off. We have 6 strips cut now. We want to cut the selvages off, and we'll want to do it very quickly. This is the only time you will use these lines on your mat. I take one strip and line it up with one of the lines on the mat. Does not matter which one. Then I put a second strip on top of it. I come down to the next line on the mat, and I stack 2 more. And then I come down to the next line on the mat, stack 2 more. Because these strips are along the lines that way, I can line my ruler up with this white line coming this way. You don't use these lines for anything, any other way of cutting except for this. I'm going to cut all of my selvages off at one time. And now, I will take these strips and I will sew them with a straight seam end to end till I have one long strip, and then we will cut our borders. We have the top and the bottom border on now. It's starting to look really nice. we need to measure from the very top of this border to the very bottom of the border we just put on at the bottom, and that will give us the length for the 2 side sections we need. When we got this border on, we ironed this seam outward toward the outside of the quilt or toward the green border. We'll do that on each border as we go. So we will cut side pieces out of the strips that we had left for these 2 sides. Then we will cut our last border out of the white material for our wider border all the way around. We will do the same thing. We will measure side to side and put the top and bottom borders on, and then measure from top to bottom and get the 2 side borders on then. And we'll have a completed quilt top. So I'll see you when I get done. Our quilt top is complete. We have both of the borders on it. That lighter border is going to be beautiful for our hand quilting or our machine quilting to show off the quilt. And the little applique in here, the embroidery design, shows off the St. Patrick's theme. You could change this for any time of the year, whether it's Valentine's Day, Christmas, or Thanksgiving, depending on the colors you use and the motif you use. Until I see you again, happy quilting.